space. It is not necessary to form a single file line. If you are traveling with a stroller, please have children and valuables unloaded before you reach our stroller parking area.
Some hippos are fast.
Then
Yeah, I'll have to sleep up. You're about there.
Everything can be rough and bumpy, and keep your arms, hands, legs, and feet inside the vehicle at all times. Welcome aboard. To board you on our safari vehicles, and I wanted to be certain I told you about our boarding procedures before you actually enter. Please notice the
Kilimanjaro Safaris. Para su seguridad, permanezcan sentados.
Asante Sana word. Asante Sana means thank you in Swahili. We also like to say Twende in Harambe, and Twende means let's go. Alrighty. Chambo everybody, my name is Colin and I'm going to be your safari guide out here today. Before we get started though, we have a couple of safety reminders to go through. Everybody must remain seated all the way back in your seats with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside of the truck at all times. We're going to make our way to the top of this hill, wait until it's our turn to head on into the reserve, then we'll begin our safari adventure momentarily. So before we get started, just a quick show of hands. Is it anybody's first time on the safari? Do we have any first timers on board? And we got a few hands popping up there. Well, welcome friends. Hopefully we'll see something you're looking forward to seeing out here today, and I assume the rest of you have all been on the safari before, want to see what else we can find. Well, hopefully we'll find something new as well. Learn a new fun fact or see an animal you haven't seen before. Never know what we'll find. Although either way, if it's your first or third, fourth, fifth time on the safari, if you look above you, you'll see there's an animal spotting guide. Now the animal spotting guide can help us to identify a lot of the animals out here, but I will let you know it's been a little over 25 years since it's been updated, so some of the animals you see up there might go by different names now than the ones listed up there, might even be slightly different species. Still should be a pretty good guide to go off of, lets us know roughly what to keep an eye out for. Like over on the right hand side by the bamboo is an okapi. Now the okapi, they have their stripes on their hind legs. That's their form of camouflage. A lot of the animals here in the forest use camouflage to hide from predators. Now their stripes are supposed to look like how the light shines through the trees and the bushes out here. Kind of makes it look like it's wearing a pair of zebra pants at times, but it is a little more closely related to a giraffe. Like their cousins, the giraffes, the okapis have a long prehensile tongue that they use to eat leaves off of trees. Believe it or not, they are also nest-building animals. That's right, they build nests out here in the forest where they keep their babies hidden for the first couple months of their life. Protects any baby okapis from predators that might be in the area. They are not the only nest-building animals out here in the forest, though. In fact, over on the right-hand side, top of the hill, there's a nest being tended to by the black and white bird up there, the saddle-bill stork, named for its yellow saddle marking on its bill. They actually have a wingspan of about 9.5 feet wide. And taking a nap over on the left-hand side by the rocks, looks like there's a black rhinoceros. Now the black rhinoceros is one of the smaller rhino species in the world. They only get to be about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds, and I know that might not seem too small, but compared to other rhinos that can get up to double that size, that is pretty small as far as rhinos go. And there's a couple antelopes coming up ahead on the right. There's the light brown antelope without horns on its head. That is the greater kudu. Then up at the very top, you might see there's a reddish brown antelope with horns on its head as well. Those are bongos. Now the greater kudu are one of the taller antelopes on the reserve. They tend to stand at about 5 feet tall at the shoulder. The greater kudu, or the bongos rather, they are very shy and elusive animals, giving them the nickname the ghosts of the forest. There's one more saddle-bill stork. Looks like it might be looking for some sticks or materials to build its nest over on the left there. But with that, we're making our way out of the Little Aturi Forest. We're heading on over towards the Safi River. Now, the Safi River is home to some more aquatic animals, of course. Some of the animals here are going to be nocturnal as well. We'll just have to keep an eye out for them, see what we can find as we journey through here. It is pretty cloudy today. Usually means some of those more nocturnal animals will be a little more active out here. First on the right-hand side, though, we'll be passing by an island of pink-backed pelicans here. Now, pink-backed pelicans might not look too pink right now, but they get their pink color mostly during mating season. That's when the feathers on their backs will start to molt. The pink color becomes a lot more prominent. And as we journey through here, over on the left-hand side, behind the island, you can see there's a bump in the water there. I believe that is a Nile hippopotamus. We'll see if we can get a little better look at it there. Might be taking a nap behind the island. Now, hippos, they tend to have pretty sensitive skin. They can sunburn. They usually spend their days like we see there, submerged underwater, really only coming up to prey. Predators tend to be more on the prowl. These animals, their instincts will tell them to group together in more dense populations where it's a little harder to be seen. And of course, a lot of these animals are going to be herbivores as well. There's a lot of plant-eating animals out here. Plants tend to be pretty good at soaking up the water from the 3 months of rainy season. Makes for a healthy snack for these animals and a great way for these animals to stay hydrated. But not all of the animals here are going to be herbivores. In fact, coming up on the left-hand side is our first carnivore of the savannah. There's some African painted dogs. There's one over by the tree, and then a few more taking a nap in the den up ahead, that little cave area coming up ahead here. We'll get a better look at them on the other side of this rock. Now, the African painted dogs are commonly mistaken for hyenas, but they're a little more closely related to domestic dogs. But unlike dogs and wolves, which have 5 toes, these African painted dogs, they only have 4 toes. They are some of the most successful pack hunting animals in all of Africa. They are so successful because they use teamwork to help them hunt. They're very social animals. They'll take care of their elderly and their sick. That's something that not a lot of other animals do. A little further up on the left here, we're getting a good look at a whole family of Hartmann's mountain zebras. Hartmann's mountain zebras are easy to identify by looking at their stripes. You'll notice that their stripes get a little thicker in the back, helps them to blend in larger numbers. Makes it harder to tell where one zebra ends and another begins. There's also a couple of sable antelopes on that left-hand side behind the zebras. The sable antelopes, their horns are tilted backwards to protect themselves from predators bouncing on their backs. Very brave, very protective animals. Now, of course, those were Hartmann's mountain zebras, so they can be found in mountains as well. That's why their hoofs are a little more narrow than other zebras, makes them more adapted to navigating the more rocky terrain. From 18 to 20 feet tall on average. Looks like they're hanging out by these trees, trying to find something to snack on. It's usually how they spend a lot of their day, just going around from treetop to treetop looking for food. Does not give the giraffes a lot of room in the day for sleep, so it's a good thing they only need about 30 minutes of sleep a day, usually broken up through naps that they take standing up. Some of those naps can even be as short as 30 seconds apiece. Now making our way just a little further here, looks like we'll pass by some wildebeest and even some springboks as well. The springboks are the very small antelope species with the brown backs and the white bellies. They almost look like s'mores coming up ahead here. They'll be on our right around this corner. They only get to be about 3, maybe 3.5 feet tall, but they're very fast animals. They can actually run up to 55 miles an hour. If they get startled, they'll do something called pronking. That's spelled P-R-O-N-K-I-N-G, where they just start bouncing along the savannah. They can leap up to 13 feet long, up to 6 feet high that way. Meaning if they wanted to, they could run right up to the truck, leap in through one window, fly right over laps and out the other side. And of course those wildebeest on the right-hand side, they get their name from the Afrikaans words for wild beast. They have another name in Swahili. That name is spelled G-N-U, pronounced new. They get that name from the noise that they make. Over on that left-hand side, we'll get a real good look at the Maasai giraffe here. Hopefully you can see its spot patterns a lot easier there. You can also see it using its long prehensile tongue to eat the leaves off of the trees. Now the giraffes, their long legs can carry them pretty quickly. They can actually walk up to 10 miles an hour, can run much faster, up to 35 miles an hour. They can be very fast animals. And on the right-hand side, there's also a couple of Ankole cattle up the top of the hill, the cows with the giant horns on their heads. They also have the nickname the Watusi cattle, named after the Watusi tribe. Their horns can get anywhere from 5 to 6 feet long from tip to tip, and they're mostly hollow on the inside. They have a honeycomb-like structure on the inside of their horns, which helps with air circulation. Keeps them nice and cool on a hot day. It's almost like having an air conditioner strapped to their heads. We're making our way a little further. We're heading on over towards the outskirts of the savanna. We'll see what we can find as we journey through here today. Now, a lot of the animals out here are going to be larger, more protective animals. And on that left-hand side, there's a mandrill walking around at the very front of the truck. It'll be passing by the rocks here soon. It is one of the largest monkey species in the world. The females get to be about 30 to 40 pounds. Males can get up to 100 pounds. Might have seen its coloration on its backside. That let us know that that is the leader of the mandrill group. Also lets the other mandrills know who's the leader, so they know who to follow around as they travel out here. And on that right-hand side, way off in the back, not the best look at it. We're pretty far away, but you can see there's an African elephant all the way up at the front of the truck on that right-hand side. That's probably a male elephant. The males tend to be a little more solitary than the rest of the herd, so we'll keep an eye out and see if we can find any other elephants out here. They are matriarchal. That means that they're a female-dominated society led by the matriarch, the eldest, wisest female of the herd. She's the one who knows the best places to find food, water, and shelter, and they usually reach maturity at about 15 years old. In fact, when a male elephant gets to be about 15, that's when he's considered an elephant with vitamins and minerals to supplement their diet. Actually, over on that right-hand side, you'll see there's some tusk marks on the red clay there. It's like how we take vitamins to make sure we have everything that we need. The elephants use the red clay for the exact same thing. Keeps them nice and healthy. Making our way a little further over on that left-hand side, looks like we'll be passing by a couple African elephants. Looks like there's a few in this area. It might be passing by a family herd. We'll keep an eye out for any younger elephants in this area as well. Now, unfortunately, the elephants, they face a lot of threats in the wild. One of the biggest threats that they face nowadays especially is the destruction of their natural habitats, often pushing them closer and closer to human civilization. Pretty big issue for both the elephants and for the farmers in areas like Kenya. Farmers in Kenya were noticing elephants coming onto their farms looking for food. They ended up trampling their crops and getting themselves hurt in the process. It's a big issue for both the elephants and for the farmers, so looking for an answer that would help everybody. Researchers here at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, they did some research, discovered that these elephants are terrified of bees. Now, the elephants, they have some pretty sensitive skin, have even more sensitive ears, so they definitely feel those bee stings. And as we know, an elephant never forgets, so whenever they hear the sound of bees, they know to stay far away from that area. Let you know how the farmers use that research to fix their problem a little closer towards the end of our safari. But from that research, we also discovered just how smart these elephants are. Not only do they know to stay away from where they can hear the sound of bees, they'll go back to the rest of their herd, use a very special low rumbling noise to communicate, so they all know to stay away. Up ahead a little further, we'll pass by a couple of flamingos here on the left-hand side. Now, these, as we pass by, are greater flamingos, and as we make our way through here, keep your eyes on their island, especially the inside, the lower dirt part of their island. It might be a familiar shape. But these are greater flamingos. That means that they are the largest and lightest pink out of any flamingo species. Although they do not hatch pink, they hatch gray. Then they get their pink color about a year later based off their diet consisting mostly of brine shrimp. The brine shrimp is very rich in a chemical called carotene. The more shrimp they eat, the more carotene they get. The more carotene they get, the more pink they become. They can also flock together in numbers as large as 10,000 in size, and they don't like to migrate if they don't have to. In fact, they try to find a good clean source of water with an abundance of food where they will settle down for the rest of their days. That's why it's important to keep our waterways clean, not only for our sake, but also for the sake of the animals that rely on those areas. We're going to make our way a little further here. We'll be passing by an empty area coming up ahead, but over on the left we are passing by some mud wallows as well. When it gets a little hotter, animals with more sensitive skin like warthogs and rhinos come out here to roll around in the mud. Helps to keep them nice and cool, also acts as a sunscreen or bug repellent, kind of their skincare routine. On the right here, looks like there's an ostrich we'll be passing by. Now the ostriches, they can stand anywhere from 6 to 8 feet tall on average. They are flightless birds. They do not use their wings to fly. Instead, they use them to help them steer as they run. That close up, we might even be able to identify whether it was a male or female ostrich by looking at the color of their feathers. Typically, male ostriches have more black and white feathers. Helps them to blend in during the nighttime, while females are more active during the day. They They tend to have more grayish brown feathers. So that was probably a female ostrich there. And over on the left-hand side, keep your eyes out at the top of the hill in the shade. Might be an animal that uses camouflage to hide from its prey before it uses its incredible speed to attack. We'll see if we can find any others that are a little easier to spot there, but it is the fastest land animal in the world. Here's one over on the left-hand side, way in the back of the truck, and a couple more up at the very front of the truck here is, of course, the cheetah. Cheetahs can go from 0 to 16 miles an hour in about 3 seconds, reaching a top speed of 70 miles an hour. Although they can only hold those speeds for a few hundred feet at a time before they need to rest up, save their energy. So either camouflage helps them to blend in a little easier. They do not have the ability to retract their claws. They use their sharp claws to dig into the ground, helps them to run at those speeds like a built-in pair of athletic cleats. And they don't have the ability to roar either. Instead, they make a chirping noise like what a house cat makes. They're the largest cats that can purr, something that other big cats like lions and tigers cannot do. So the black rhinos can get to be anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 pounds, but even though we can see them, they might not be able to see us from that far away. They are nearsighted. They have pretty poor eyesight, which they make up for with incredible hearing. They can hear for about a mile away. There on that left-hand side, you can see the male and female lion a little easier. Yes, they spend anywhere from 15 to 20 hours a day resting and sleeping like that there, saving their energy for the nighttime. That's when they do their hunting, and it's usually female lions that do the nighttime hunting, while males stay back, watch after the rest of the pride. Coming up around this curve here, we'll be passing by some burrows on our left here. Now, these are typically home to burrowing animals like warthogs. On the warthogs, they prefer to be more active during the day, but if they notice a town or a village, basically anywhere with a lot of people, might adapt to be a little more nocturnal, so we'll keep an eye out for them. Sometimes when they go to bed, they'll shimmy their way in backwards. That way they can have their tusks facing outwards. They can protect their homes a little easier. Although if they feel comfortable, sometimes they'll just take a nap anywhere out in the open, so we'll see if we can find any of those. Green mama ostrich, they can run up to 45 miles an hour. Probably have to do with a few of them as well. They are collective nesters. They group their eggs into one area and watch over them together. Up ahead here, looks like we'll be passing by some Nigerian dwarf goats. These goats are very playful, very social animals. You can probably tell they like to climb around on a lot of the equipment. Looks like they've all decided to make their way onto the roof of the warden's truck and the post there. While we're here, I want to point out the yellow triangle box on the left, held up by a couple of poles in front of the warden's post. Might be wondering what that box is. It's actually an example of a beehive, very similar to the ones the farmers in Kenya would use to keep elephants away from their farms. See, when the farmers in Kenya got the research back that the elephants are scared of bees, they came up with a pretty creative solution to their problem. They would build those beehives and attach tripwires to them. That way, whenever the elephants got too close to the farms, they thumped the tripwires, shaking the beehives. The elephants would hear the sound of the bees, and not only would that let them know to stay away from that area, they'd communicate that information with the rest of their herd using a very special low rumbling noise, so the whole herd knew to stay away. Created some very effective natural fences, protected the crops from getting trampled, and the elephants from getting hurt, while also giving the farmers a little extra honey that they can then sell. Now that, of course, is a win-win for everybody involved, so Disney took that research and developed it a little further, creating the Elephants and Bees project, now in use in about 22 countries around the world. Now looks like we're just about at the end of our safari here, so if there were any wilderness explorers on board, you were on board the Simba one. That is Simba like the lion, 1 like the number. It's going to be your code for that Wilderness Explorer badge. You'll find it on page 14 of your handbook. Now it'd also be a great time to make sure you have any and all personal belongings. Got a little bumpy at times. Take a moment to make sure nothing fell out of any pockets before you leave here today. And with that, it looks like we are just about at our final goodbye here. But we do not like to say goodbye at Harambe. Goodbyes tend to be a little sad, a little too final. So instead we say Kwaherini, which means to go well. That's what we want you to do. We want you to go well, go wild, and have a great rest of your day here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, or wherever your next adventure might happen to take you. Thank you once again for joining me on our safari adventure. Hope to see you again real soon. No two safaris are ever going to be the same. You never know what you'll find out here. Finally, if you're on the